Trump wants to invoke the Insurrection Act to punish anyone who opposes him.
If you take a look at what's been going on in Portland, it's been going on for a long time, and that's insurrection. I mean, that's pure insurrection.
I know all of this is frightening, and I don't want to unduly alarm you, but you need to be aware of this imminent danger. It's unfolding very, very rapidly. He's following a 4-point plan that you need to know about. Step 1 is to deploy ICE into so-called blue cities run by Democrats. These masked and armed ICE agents are wreaking havoc on American cities and violating due process. They're arresting people outside immigration courtrooms. They're raiding homes in the middle of the night and detaining children and adults, including American citizens. They admit to using racial profiling. These aggressive tactics are provoking demonstrations, which leads me to step 2, exaggerate the scale and severity of the protests. Trump has described Portland as a war-ravaged city burning to the ground, but Portland's own police chief has debunked that.
City of Portland is about 145 square miles. This is one city block. Even the events that are happening down there do not rise to the level of attention that they are receiving.
And Trump continues to describe Chicago as a war zone. But recently that's because of ICE agents who've sprayed tear gas, pepper balls, and rubber bullets into crowds of journalists and protesters gathered outside a detention facility. But that doesn't seem to matter to Trump. It's all part of a plan to establish a pretext for step 3, deploy National Guard troops. Trump is deploying hundreds of National Guard troops from red states like Texas into blue states like Oregon and Illinois against the wishes of Democratic governors. This is continuing to enrage an already outraged public, which is the whole point. Trump wants to stoke actual violence, which would make it easier for him to unleash the final step in his plan, which is step 4, invoke the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act empowers a president to federalize the National Guard and use the U.S. military to suppress civil disorder, insurrection, or armed rebellion against the government. Everything done by Trump has been a preamble to invoking this act and being able to unleash troops against his perceived political enemies who oppose his regime in advance of the 2026 midterms. It would be the ultimate step in Trump's authoritarian power grab. There are fights happening in the courts right now that could put a stop to all of this. Even Trump's own appointed judges in the federal courts are standing in opposition to him. And you have a role to play too. Trump and his enablers want violent confrontations in order to justify their moves. So please, remain peaceful if you protest, or if you encounter ICE agents or National Guard troops where you live. Do not give Trump what he wants. Instead, record what you see and post it. Send it to local media. Do whatever you can to chip away at the false narrative Trump and his cronies are trying to build as a pretext for unleashing their power grab and stripping away our freedoms. And please, help spread the word about what Trump is planning by sharing this video.
I just want to be clear that these videos coming out of Portland and Chicago make it quite obvious that there wouldn't be any violence without ICE. That the violence comes from them and not the other way around. And yeah, you get to be a big, strong guy when your opponents can't fight back, huh? You can push people to the ground and kick them and set off your smoke bombs and punch people in the face and throw them into vans because you get to be lawless while we have to be peaceful. Citizens dancing in unicorn and frog costumes are terrorists, while masked men beating and kidnapping unarmed citizens are the good guys. They used a sniper to shoot an unarmed priest in the head. On what planet does that make you the good guy? Look at this hero, just abusing a peaceful protester kneeling in front of him. These men are thugs, violent armed gang members intimidating and brutalizing American citizens with the protection and funding of the federal government. And if you are okay with that, then you need to ask yourself what country you think you live in, because this is supposed to be the land of the free, where protest and free speech are part of the Constitution, and this sure as hell ain't it. And if you are one of these masked assholes doing this to your fellow citizens, ask yourself who you are, and ultimately how you think this plays out. Because governments that terrorize their own people never survive. So this ends badly for all of us, if you continue with this bullshit.
Hey everybody. It looks like the Justice Department is in some trouble over its handling of the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. This is a pretty big deal, so let me explain. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is the Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador in March. The Justice Department fought tooth and nail to keep him there, but eventually they had to bring him back to the U.S. Once they brought him back, they decided to punish him by bringing criminal charges against him. In May, they charged him in Tennessee in a federal court with illegally transporting undocumented immigrants. The charges were based on a traffic stop that actually took place 3 years earlier in 2022. No charges were brought at the time. In fact, the case was actually closed until after Abrego successfully challenged his deportation in court. Abrego has now raised a legal claim known as vindictive prosecution. This is a type of due process argument. Due process prohibits the government from punishing someone just for exercising their legal rights. Abrego is arguing that he is being punished for successfully challenging his illegal deportation in court. The bar is very high to prove vindictive prosecution, so those claims are rarely successful. But in Abrego's case, the judge just found that he has proved that the case against him was likely a vindictive prosecution, meaning that it was likely an illegal act of retaliation by the government. This isn't a final ruling, but it means that Abrego now gets a full hearing on his claim, which is a major step toward getting his case thrown out. Vindictive prosecution cases rarely make it this far, so this is a pretty big deal. It also reflects very badly on Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General. The court actually called out Blanche by name, referencing statements that he made to the press about Abrego. Specifically, Blanche went on Fox News and said that the Justice Department only started investigating Abrego after he successfully challenged his deportation. In other words, Blanche basically admitted on national TV that the prosecution of Abrego was pure retaliation, and now his statements are coming back to bite him. This type of accountability is exactly what we need from our courts right now, so put this one in the good news column.
We have breaking news right now. Organizers around the No Kings Day protest just told me minutes ago that nearly 7 million people across the globe have already come out to protest. That is significant. Sources associated with No Kings told me that over 200,000 in Washington, D.C. alone. That is the most a protest during the Trump era in Washington, D.C. Now we have confirmation nearly 7 million across the globe have attended overwhelmingly peaceful protests. And that second part is critical. Overwhelmingly peaceful protests. There are very little, if any, signs of any violence at any of these protests.
They were like, why can't somebody from America do the halftime show? And look. Listen to me. The people screaming that are coming from a very specific place. They have watched the Super Bowl religiously, and the last few years have watched it get blacker. And I understand. After Kendrick, they were like, it's black now. Is it finally black enough? You blacked it. You did it. It's been blacked. All right. That's enough. It's been black, and I watched it. I didn't get it, but it was black, and you had it. Can we have one? Because I don't think you're gonna get blacker. So it's gotta be our turn again. And they thought, surely, their time was coming. You know, after Kendrick, next one gotta be, you know what I mean? Yeah. Next one gotta be the one that does that song with the twang to it that you really like. Gotta be. Come on, we even look. You did it. So I did all that rapping. I let rapping in my house just because it was a Super Bowl halftime show. That's as black as gonna get. I refuse to let it get any blacker, all right? These people were like, it can't possibly get blacker. And then they were like, all right, I'll raise you no English. Oh, you think you're mad now. Oh, we gonna make you pray for Kendrick. We gonna make you. Oh, Kendrick, please hit us with some symbolism. I don't even understand what's going on now.